We are finishing a crazy sports day, but talking a lot of fantasy baseball. All coming up next on the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. Happy Sunday evening, everybody. Welcome to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. We are sponsored by Prize Picks. We appreciate the sponsorship from them all season long here. I am Scott Jenstad, joined as always on Sunday nights by Jeff Erickson. If you could please rate or review the podcast, it does help us a lot there. We would really appreciate that. If you enjoy listening to us, that would be a great thing of you to do. Jeff, first of all, congrats to your Pacers winning a Game 7 on the road. Must have been a lot of fun.
Yeah. In the Garden, and the Garden was electric at the start of the game, and the Pacers just shrugged that off. It was amazing.
It helps when you shoot 114% in the first half.
Yes, it does. Is that sustainable? I don't know.
Apparently it was, by the way. We joked about it at halftime, and I'm like, oh, that's not going to happen. Like in the middle of the third quarter, they're still like at 72%. It was crazy.
They said the 101 points by the end of the third quarter was a record since 1963 or something like that. It was awesome.
That's wild. Then we had the Western game that was like 68-62 at the 68-67 at the end of three quarters. It was the complete opposite. But fun sports day between that and the PGA Championship. Obviously, we're here to talk baseball, a full slate of baseball games. It was a fun sports day. It was hard. I have two TVs in my office, and it wasn't enough.
Same. I said the same thing, and I was trying to like flip and then mute one, and then if you had and then for baseball, I was watching the Grid channel. Just to try to get the best taste of it. Plus, I had the added constraint of doing Sirius XM Fantasy from 10 to 12 West Coast time too. So for the first hour and a half, actually first 2 hours of baseball, because St. Louis started early today, I was doing it without any volume too. So that was even harder to keep track of everything going on. So if I mess anything up today, it's not my fault, is what I'm trying to tell you.
That's all right. I put Jalen Beeks on the Rays last week, so you've already got I've already got one on you, so we're doing well. But just a little bit of baseball. I had some questions for you, fantasy-wise, real baseball-wise, before we jump into talking some news and notes and FAAB. Jeff, Yankees are on fire right now. They've won 7 in a row, second best record in baseball. Baltimore's still only 2 back. AL East is looking really, really fun. I think it'll be a fun summer in that division.
Unless you're a Blue Jays fan.
Unless you're a Blue Jays fan, which is, what are they, 5 under, 11.5 back, minus 46 run differential. Bo Bichette's been really bad.
Yes, he has. Sorry, I was saying goodnight to my daughter. Yes, he's been really bad. Really, really, really bad, and shockingly so. And so has George Springer. They moved him down in the lineup, as a matter of fact. I mean, that to me is pretty wild. So it's really kind of shocking to see it there, to see how bad the team has been as a whole.
My favorite math of the week is you take all of George Springer's RBIs in the entire season, Jeff, all of 2024, then double them. You still don't have as many as Luis Matos did this week.
Yeah. What happened there? Oh my gosh. I mean,
he had 16 RBI in last week. That is bonkers. George Springer has 7 all year.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. He got his 8th today. So it's exactly half now.
That's because he's a leadoff hitter. No, I can't even.
Yeah, you can't. You could try and get there with leadoff hitter. Although we hit 6 today. So that was an interesting move, but, yeah, it's been bad in Blue Jays land. They just kind of rough and boring, although Alec Manoah pitched really well today.
Yeah, he sure did. They needed that badly. But, some stats for you here as far as the Jays go. They don't strike out a lot. 19.6% K percentage going into today's games. So it's not like a contact issue. They're just not hitting it with any sort of authority. 93 WRC plus. Wobo, I mean, I'm just quoting stats in 297, but it's really the lack of power that's really so arresting. 27th in baseball with 36 homers going into today's games. That's just unbelievable to me. How
they have the Rays have the fourth fewest runs in the division, and they still have 34 more than the Blue Jays do, which is wild. They have 70 runs less than the Yankees do through 45 games. That is crazy. That's like a run and a half, almost 2 runs a game. That's wild.
Yep, and Timothy Tunks points this out. Yes, slow bats. The bat speed thing has become a big thing, since that got unveiled. And I'm going to be behind the curve a little while for that. I'm going to work on speeding up on that. But yeah, so are the Jays. They got to work on speeding things up. And, Ross Haskins is like, just give us more time. We can figure this out. Well, maybe you just have guys with slow bats. Is that possible?
Yeah, and you're 11 and a half back of the Yankees, 9.5 back of Toronto. I don't know. You're running out of time pretty quick here. It's been ugly.
I kind of hijacked this though. Sorry.
Oh no, good. It's good. It's good. We're talking AL East. That's fine. But my question for you, fantasy wise, Luis Gil has been really, really good for the Yankees. Had a game this week. We had 14 strikeouts. I forget what the number is, either 16 or 18th time in Yankees history. Like Yankees history is a long time. We got to have 14 plus strikeouts. It's a very special game. Not many guys do that. Your friend Chris List did a write up like 4 years ago about guys who have like, I think it was 15 plus or 16 plus strikeout games, like how elite those are. And those are all guys that are like Hall of Fame level, like studs. So you strike out this many guys in the game, it's a pretty big thing. And what do the Yankees do with Gil, though? He's coming off Tommy John. He threw 4 innings last year. He threw 25 innings the year before. He's already at 49. He's made 9 starts. ERA is 2.39. WHIP is 108. K rate's over 31%. How the hell do they handle this guy? Like, they always have Cole coming back probably in 3 or 4 weeks if everything kind of progresses with him. Tylor, he's had some good news this week. But what do they do with Gil? Do you go fake IL for a while? Do you put him in the bullpen? He's just been so good. It's become a really tough decision.
I think you just let him pitch right now. I think teams overthink this a little bit there. I saw what the Nats did with Strasburg back in the day, what the Marlins did with Yuri Perez, and it doesn't protect him anymore. That's maybe you go 6-man at times, but then that has spillover effects for your other starting pitchers. It may not be, and the steps you take to protect Gil, it doesn't help. I feel like it doesn't help and it hurts others. And on top of that too, then you're going to your 6th best pitcher. You're going to someone worse later on too. And this divisional race looks like it's going to be them in Baltimore all the way down. And, I don't know how important it is to win the division. That's another debate. So, but I don't know. I feel like just let them pitch. And I know they have plans. You could probably have some contingency plans, but like if he has a fake injury, do you just completely shut him down?
Yeah.
Because pitching in AAA, I mean, it's still pitching. I know it's not the same game intensity, but it's still a game. I don't know. I don't think that helps anything.
It's a tough call, and it's going to matter huge for fantasy leagues. I mean, this is someone that is an automatic start every week. You're just kind of throwing him, and you're not even thinking about it. Oh, yeah. But I mean, they can't let him get to 160 innings, right? Like, I just figure they won't. I don't know if cancel, but probably won't. I mean, I imagine they have a cap in their head of like 120 to 130, and that's going to mean slowing him down at some point.
Yeah. By the way, and sometimes you pull the Max Meyer bit and you check in. And let's check in on Max Meyer. Oh, in AAA he now has a 7.56 ERA and a 1.73 WHIP.
That one's the weirdest. Like the whole 3 innings once a week. Like, I don't even know what that does. It doesn't really rest him. It doesn't stretch him out. Yeah. It's not development. He's not learning it. It's just a weird. I'd rather just have him not pitch at all and then ramp back up or something. But 3 innings every week it's just a strange setup by the Marlins on Max Meyer.
It is. And that's why I think these things are all artificial and they don't help. Yeah. I don't know. Just if you're that concerned, shut them down at some point at the end of the season and say, okay, great season. We'll see you next year. But I don't even think that's good. But you're going to get anger somebody at some point in time too. If any sort of limitation, things like that, you pull them earlier from games. That's fine, I guess. But then you're taxing your bullpen. There's always the law of unintended consequences with this sort of things.
So on the flip side of will they do something with him? What do they do when Cole comes back? Because Clark Schmidt's ERA is under 2.5. Cortez, Stroman are not leaving the rotation. Neither is whoever I'm not thinking of.
Rodon.
And then you got Cole. You got 6. It's pitching. Someone's gonna get hurt. Something's gonna happen. By the time Cole gets up, somebody will be hurt. But they're suddenly really deep in the rotation. Yeah,
they are. It's funny. I probably was a little doom and gloom when Cole got hurt and, Judge was struggling and a little he's going to be dealing with this toe all year. And
Judge is no longer struggling, by the way.
No, he is not at all. So yeah, it's a great problem to have.
Not even Stanton struggling anymore. They got 3 guys with double-digit homers already.
Yeah. 11 homers for Stanton. Love it.
Yeah, they're rolling. But a couple other guys I want to ask you about what we do with them. I know that in no trade leagues, you kind of just have to start these guys. But where are you at the moment on Corbin Carroll? I think we're past the point of just a slow start. He legit is killing teams. You took him in the first round. Someone on this podcast might have done so and is not enjoying it. Hitting 91, 2 home runs. He does have the 8 steals. He got caught stealing today, so he has 4 caught stealings already. Hard hit rates down, barrel rates down, strikeout rates down too, but he looks like a complete different guy. We talked about him some already. You know, the shoulder could be the issue. Maybe that's the problem. What do you do in the league? Like, say a 12-teamer. Do you think about benching Corbin Carroll at this point? Kind of see if it comes around? What do you do at this point? Because he's killing teams.
He is. He doesn't have a stolen base in the last 21 days.
Yep.
I did not know that.
The only good part was he was running early on. It's like, if he steals 55 bases,
right.
I guess I can deal with the lack of power. That's pretty much stalled out too. It's rough. His OBP is down 85 points from last year. Like, he's just not getting on base. It's rough. I think you just ride. You just kind of have to leave him in there and ride with him. But it's rough. He's hurting teams right now.
Is he hurting? Period.
I mean, I think he's got to be. I mean, my guess would be,
yes, obviously.
Yes, my guess would be the shoulder is an issue still from last year, but we're talking 191 plate appearances. It's not a short sample anymore. They kind of moved him down to 8th for a while. He got a couple hits. They moved him back to the 1st and 2nd. It hasn't worked. Every time I think he's having like, finally we broke out of this, we're gonna get rolling. Like, you look at Julio Rodriguez is now up to over 270. Like, these guys usually, it just kind of works out and they get rolling. But there's not much to see with Carroll right now that's very positive.
No, there isn't. I don't have a solution, especially in your case, the NFBC. I think you just got to
leave him in, right? Like, if he sucks all year, I'm not going to win anyway. It's kind of what it comes down to.
Your first round pick. I mean, as long as he is playing every day, then I think I'll probably write it out. But
if you are in a trade league, or you're trying to acquire Corbin Carroll, do you have confidence that if you can get him at 65 cents on the dollar, maybe you kind of want to play that?
Are we talking redraft, or are we talking keeper? Just
redraft. No, yeah, keeper. Redraft. I think keeper's pretty easy. You'd love to trade for him, and probably hard to trade for. But in a redraft, I think he might be actually attainable by this point.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm trying to come up with a comparable, like, what's a good buy low on Corbin Carroll. Teoscar for Corbin Carroll. Who says no?
God, I think the Teoscar owner.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Which is, it says a lot right there, because that's a month and a half ago, we're talking a 6th, 7th round pick. And we did a draft that was like a month in the season. He still went in the 2nd round. I think that would move down by now. I think the thought was like, it's been 4 weeks, he'll turn around, but now it's been 7 weeks. It's every week goes by, it becomes more and more concerning.
It does. You want to know? Here's one for you that I think you'd be surprised how much he's worth so far this year. Jurickson Profar is hitting .325 with 7 homers, 30 RBI, 25 runs, and 3 stolen bases. He's been worth a ton this year.
Yeah, and he was available.
I wouldn't take that, but
he was available in some leagues early. He was really good. I would not trade Carroll for Profar if that was the question, but he certainly smoked him so far.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I was just looking for earned auction values. Like, okay, well, I wouldn't do that, but still, like.
Luis Gil or Corbin Carroll?
I like how you tied that all together.
You like that? It was a good segue.
Yeah, it was. It's why you're one of the best, Scott.
I think I'd keep Carroll, but like, it's not totally crazy.
Yeah.
I was sure they weren't going to shut down Gil at some point, I would have to think about it, because he looks really good, and Corbin Carroll does not look really good. But it's interesting.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, go.
What I like to do is, since we have a league on Yahoo, I like to kind of use their trade market and see what trades have been done involving the player. So here's a couple.
I bet you there's some crazy ones out there.
Oh yeah, the very first one is totally stupid. Corbin Carroll for Justin Turner.
That's insane.
Corbin Carroll for Manny Machado, who's been disappointing a little bit in his own right.
That's a really good one, actually, because Machado's been pretty quiet. There you go. There's one in the chat from Uncle Ted. Corbin Carroll or Shoto Imanaga?
Man. Wow. We want to talk about peak of his powers, Imanaga.
Yep.
The ball hasn't started flying out of Wrigley yet. And there's like one game, and it happened to be Justin Steele, of course, because I had him on the mound in my main event league. So I knew the ball was flying out that day. But
I think that's a really good test. I think most Corbin Carroll owners probably take that right now and take Imanaga. I'd probably take Carroll still, though.
Yeah, I think it's close. How about your former team, the Oakland A's, Mason Miller for Corbin Carroll?
Oh, there's a good one. That would depend on team need, but I'd probably take Carroll just because I still think Mason Miller's going to get hurt at some point. I really hope not because he's on my main event team and doing really well. But as you see, that 2 weeks ago, like, oh, the A's might not actually be that bad was false hope. They were still had a big negative run differential. They have been in the tank since. I think they've lost 9 of 10 or 10 of 12 or something like that, and they're getting blown out in games too.
Narrator, they are that bad. Yeah,
their pitching staff is truly horrendous.
Same thing's going to happen to the Rockies again soon too. By the way,
yeah. The A's, I think the A's can hit a little bit, and a lot of their hitting stats are good, but their pitching staff is just truly awful.
Blackburn went on the IL. That took when Link in the chain out. Alex Wood's on the IL, and it's just where he belongs. It happens pretty fast. Yet I did have bids in on one A's pitcher this week, but
was it Mitch Spence?
No, it was Kirk Muller against the home start against the Rockies. Lefty against the Rockies on the road. It's a formula thing.
Yeah, no, I mean, Rocky Road is
Kyle
always.
Why did I say Kirk? Huh.
Who's Kurt Muller?
Kirk Muller, I think is I don't even know. Let's move on.
Kyle Muller, though, yes. I actually think Mitch Spence is kind of interesting. I think that if they stretch him out a little bit, I think he threw 4 1/3 his last start. I think he's got some interesting stuff, but overall, they're a stay away.
I'm hoping Muller. By the way, Muller is going to be like the Ryan Yarbrough of the A's, basically. That's why I was kind of looking for that. Maybe on the heels of Spence, by the way. Kirk Muller is a hockey player. I thought so.
Former hockey player. Yeah. The other guy that is really, really struggling, there was an early round pick. There's many of them, but Edwin Diaz was the one in the news this week. Gave up the 3-run homer to Josh Bell to lose that game. Pointed at it like it was a pop-up to center field, and it landed 430 feet from home plate. Has been a mess. Has given up a lot of runs and starts. Has blown, I think, 4 saves now. Only has 5 saves on the year. He was a 3rd-round draft pick, looked really good in the spring. Everybody's like, oh, he's fully back. It's pretty evident that he's not the same guy. He still has a 35% strikeout rate. There's a lot of stuff working against him. He's got a 62% strand rate. That's hurting right there. But it's rough right now. And the manager said that they're going to go fluid in the bullpen for a little bit and give him a couple of lower leverage spots. What do you do with Diaz this week? Are you benching Diaz this week?
Maybe. No, probably not. They got 6 games, 3 at Cleveland, just three at home against the Giants. What if he gets 1 save? 1 save would be enough to justify his presence on your active roster for the week.
Yep.
So I think I probably would hold on to him. I'd probably keep him active. I mean, you'd have to have like a big lead in saves or just a really deep roster to be able to pull that off. And chances are you don't have a big lead in saves because A, you drafted Diaz and probably at the exclusion of other closers, and B, he just only has 5 to begin with.
Yes, you could have drafted Robert Suarez and picked up Mason Miller later or something like that. You could be okay in saves, but yeah, if you have Diaz, as I do, you are likely struggling in saves. I have a team in the main event that's pretty good on offense and is dead last in wins and saves. That's a tough combo to do. Usually you can do well in one or the other. If you throw a bunch of stars, you don't have closers, but to be bad in both is pretty tough. Too many White Sox starters and Edwin Diaz is a bad combo for those stats.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Edwin Diaz's average fastball is 96.9 miles an hour this year. It was 99.1 in 2022.
Yeah.
Yeek.
That's not a great stat right there.
Yeah, he's not getting as much swing and miss. Now, granted, as much is it's
still 35%. Yeah, it's still huge.
Yeah, just swing strike rate is down to 17%. It was 25 in his nutty year in 2022. So it's still 17 is better than most humans. So still good.
I'm pretty sure that he's going to be okay. He had that 1 year, the first year with the Mets, where he gave up a ton of home runs too. It's kind of where we're at now. He's hitting 2.5 home runs per 9 right now. He's pitched 18 innings, so what's that? 5 home runs. So he's given up a bunch of home runs already. It's kind of the problem. His brother Alexis is not doing well either in Reds land. It's been rough. I had bids in on Reed Garrett and Adam Ottavino this week. I think you can maybe if you get them cheap. Reed Garrett was not cheap, but on Adam Ottavino, I think one of them's going to get the next save opportunity. So I think you can try to steal some this week, but. I'm of the belief that as opposed to Carroll, where I'm really, really, really worried, I think Diaz is going to end up being okay this year.
Yeah, I think so, but I think it is noteworthy. We kind of took it on faith that he was going to be a top 5 closer in terms of rankings, in terms of the the drafting electorate. Todd Zola said, don't use we too heavily because he didn't have him as a top 5 closer. So because we were talking on the Sirius XM show today about that, but. I think for the most part, it was like, yeah, you kind of assume so. Spring training was good. Velocity was up in spring training. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time too. So I still, but obviously you want to be able to hear everything, know everything about like the knee and make sure everything's okay there.
Yeah. So Jeff, I was at the Dodgers Reds game on Thursday night. Good win for our Reds. I think was that the only game that won?
Only win for
I think it might have been the one. So when I show up, Reds win. That's kind of the way it works.
Yeah.
But I bring it up because Elly De La Cruz stole 4 bases that night. It was really fun. Even Dodgers fans, like you could tell when Elly got on, everybody kind of like paid attention. It was one of those things like it's a game. You kind of doing a bunch of things, but ever Elly got on, it was kind of like when someone big comes at the plate or when Ohtani comes, everybody like kind of shut down. Was paying attention. He stole 4 bases. He got caught later in the game. He had a bad jump on a lefty, but 30 stolen bases, Jeff, on May 19th. Do we think Elly De La Cruz is shooting for 100 stolen bases?
I think he's shooting for it. I think.
Do you think he can get there?
If he can get on base enough. I'm a little still concerned about that. I mean, after that game, I don't think he's been on base since, or if he has,
he had a horrible at bat today too, with the bases loaded and 1 out against Alex Vesia. He hit and righty. He slider swung and then let the fastball go and then swung and a slider down again. It was rough.
In fairness, Vesia is doing that to a lot of people now, but this is shades of September Elly, or the first week of this season, even for that matter, for Elly. And he struck out 4 times today. Elly did, and he struck out 2 times each on Friday and Saturday. So, that's the downside to Elly De La Cruz. And he's been pressing a lot during this Red swoon offensively. They're down to 9 games under 500 already. They're like 4 games over 500 when this started. And granted, they've been playing a tougher schedule, but you're supposed to be a better team. Tough schedule shouldn't matter that much, except for the fact that the whole roster is decimated right now.
Decimated. Yeah. They've had so many injuries. Yeah. A's are 19-30. Reds are 19-28. We're not really doing well in this podcast.
No, we sure aren't. And Tyler Stevenson wasn't in the lineup today. He's like the one guy that's been going well lately, which you witnessed in person as well.
I did. Nick Martinez looked great in the game I went to. He came in and I think he went retired 12 of 13 or something like that. He looked really good.
He did well. They used an opener or 2 in front of him. And then, he did look good. Jake Fraley's not hitting for power this year. He was hitting for average, but even that's falling apart. Jonathan India hasn't got on track all year. Of course, they're missing McLean, Marte. Friedel's got his 2nd major injury of the season already. They're in a bad spot right now. And Encarnacion Strand's out, and he was pressing before that. It's a tough watch right now. I'm not going to lie.
There was a question in the chat about him, Elly hitting right-handed. Do you think at any point he thinks about just hitting left-handed?
I think it's the whispers are getting louder about that.
Yeah.
I've seen plenty of thoughtful suggestions in that sort of way, shape, or form. But I mean, has he done much lefty on lefty ever? Is that how long does it learn?
Never, right?
Yeah. How long does it take to learn that? I mean, it's got to be tough. So I don't know if that's an answer, and certainly not in season, you would think.
So real quick, a few news and notes before we get to our FAAB chat. There's not a ton of big news this week, which is kind of a nice thing. There's a lot of guys that are coming back, which is good news. Max Muncy, speaking of the Dodgers, did go on the IL with an oblique strain. Obviously, we hate to see those. Speaking of obliques, the Austin Riley stuff isn't weird. As we were talking last Sunday night, he hurt his oblique in the Sunday night game. I think we were watching, or it was the Sunday afternoon, whatever it was. We talked about it. So weird they didn't put him on the IL. He missed the entire week. He's still not sure he's going to come back Tuesday. I just don't know why they didn't put him on the IL and then figure it out in 10 days. It seemed odd.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's because they were missing other players and they just kind of thought that maybe he would get back in 3 or 4 days, but yeah, brutal. And brutal for those people who didn't have like a pivot. I mean, how many third basemen are out right now too?
Yeah. My pivot was Matt Vierling and he did not do much this week. So there's your answer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think in one league, I didn't get a pivot. I mean, it's tough. Another one, luckily in a 12 team where Josh Rojas was available and he gets 2nd and 3rd eligibility, but then I lost Dansby too. So then I had 2 players in one on the IL for sure. And one that was probably not going to play. That sucked.
Yeah, it was a rough week, but I'm hoping he's in Tuesday. But I'm fine if he wants to take one more series. You need to get Austin Riley back. You just don't. Last thing you want to do is tweak it again, and he's out for 4 to 6 weeks, and that's the one thing you do want to avoid. Yeah. The Adolis Garcia stuff was a little bit weird. He was scratched with like a forearm issue. They seem really optimistic. He's gonna have the off day Monday, and they'll be fine. Then the next note was he's having an MRI. So I guess we need to find out what happens there. It sounds like they're not overly concerned, but concerned enough to get MRI means they're not totally unconcerned, right?
Right. Yeah. That was my initial reaction is, yeah, they're concerned.
Yeah.
And they might be publicly downplaying it, but they're concerned. I'm concerned. I mean, the leagues where I have him, he's been huge for me.
Yeah, he's been great.
Yeah, although the whole team has struggled as of late too. They lost a series to the Angels this weekend. They've suffered a ton of starting pitching injuries. They've got a little bit of hangover effect right now. With obviously Watt Langford has had one homer and it wasn't out over the fence yet. He's hurt. Evan Carter's hurt and not playing well. They're struggling.
They're in the right division to struggle a little bit early though.
That is true. They're not in the AL East, basically.
They're 500. They're a game and a half out, so they're probably going to be okay. The Astros are coming on, though. I think it's very clear. We were kind of waiting for the Astros to hit the go button. They were 8-2 in the last 10, only 4 out of the division now. I think it's very clear that they're going to be in the mix with Seattle and Texas. Bad news on Garrett Whitlock this week. He made a rehab start last week during the week for his other issue, and then he complained after the game having elbow soreness, and he's kind of been shut down for throwing. This is a bad one here. I think that I dropped Whitlock a few weeks ago just because I had to. I just didn't have any spots left for him with the thought that, I just had to eat it and I needed some active arms. But someone I really liked in the preseason where he was getting drafted, I'm a little worried about this one. He's been shut down from throwing, and usually when that happens, even if he's fine, you're just talking about a pretty significant ramp-up period to get going.
Well, especially given his history.
Yeah.
I think that's the other scary thing too. Yeah, it's really bad.
Yeah, he's obviously coming back from the oblique and had that. So that's I sadly think that he's probably a drop in most leagues. Unless you have an IL spot, I think I have to drop Whitlock. Much like Austin Riley, Nico Hoerner missed every game this week. He missed 6 straight with a hamstring injury. Has not been put on the IL yet either. So definitely watch that one. We do have a lot of good news. Real quick here, a slew of guys who are coming back this week. Joe Musgrove is expected to return on Tuesday. Blake Snell expected to return for the Giants on Wednesday. Nolan Jones and Chris Bryant will be back this week too for the Rockies. Your friend Dansby Swanson just mentioned, so he'll be back on Tuesday. A couple of guys who are a little bit further away. Evan Phillips is about a week away, so if you have Daniel Hudson, you probably get one more week out of using him. And then Sean Murphy, who has been missing since the very first game of the year, beginning a rehab assignment on Tuesday. So probably 10 more days. You probably get Murphy back. Probably extended rehab assignment for Murphy, I would assume, just because he's hasn't played all year long.
Yeah, back to Phillips. The Dodgers haven't been using just Hudson as a closer. Nope. It's one game they used him in the 8th inning. They did use him as a closer one game last week against or 2 weeks ago against the Marlins, but you haven't been getting that bang for the buck. And of course, the Dodgers win by more than a run, or 2 runs or 3 runs, so often that you just don't get that benefit as much. So, but yeah, it's been kind of frustrating. I still think Hudson's the best pivot, but it's clearly not the sole pivot.
Yeah, 1 save in 2 weeks is not what we're hoping for from picking him up for the DL for the IL period there. So yeah, it's not been ideal there, but he's still pitched really well. I think he's only given up 1 or 2 runs in that stretch at least.
Yeah, he's pitched well.
Yeah. So let's jump into some FAAB talk. First, a note from our sponsors at So Rare MLB. Have you ever dreamed of stepping into the shoes of a general manager? Welcome to So Rare MLB, a groundbreaking fantasy baseball game where you call all the shots. Take charge and make your managerial mark by collecting officially licensed digital player cards of your favorite MLB stars. They aren't just any card. They're your ticket to compete for over $1 million in total cash rewards and other amazing prizes. Imagine winning VIP trips to the MLB All-Star Game 2024, getting your hands on signed merchandise from top MLB players. Here's how it works. Use your cards to set your lineup each game week. Real-world player stats like hits, strikeouts, and homers will power your team's performance. Climb the leaderboards and snag weekly wins from cash prizes to more cards and unforgettable experiences. But there is more. Build an iconic collection of your favorite teams and players to unlock gameplay bonuses and exclusive rewards. The rarer the card, the higher your score, and the bigger your edge in competitions. And when you're ready to trade, the So Rare Marketplace offers a vibrant community of managers. Engage in live auctions, make instant buys, or trade cards peer-to-peer. Starting is absolutely free. Draft your first team of common cards today and feel the thrill of competition as you climb the ranks to baseball mastery. What are you waiting for? Join So Rare MLB today. Transfer your passion for baseball into Quest for Glory and get rewarded for your baseball savvy. Sign up today with a link in the description. Get 50% off your first pro cards up to $50. It's your passion rewarded at So Rare MLB. So Jeff, let's start with hitters in FAAB. I felt like we're good to pitchers. I felt like pitchers were really meager this week, but there were some interesting hitters. The first guy we mentioned was Luis Matos. He was added in a bunch of leagues last week when Jung Hoo Lee hurt his shoulder. I think that was on on Sunday, so we kind of knew he was injured. But Matos, we mentioned 16 RBI this week. Obviously, he missed his best week, but he's playing center field for the Giants. He's a pretty big prospect, playing every day. How do you feel about Matos going forward here? And he should have the job, if he can play center field adequately enough. I think that job is his.
Think so. I think you just missed, though, the best week of his career.
I was going to say not season, but career.
Yeah. He hadn't shown that he could hit like that before. And even at AAA, he hadn't really shown that, to be honest. He is a prospect, but he's not, he's kind of bounced around a little bit, but he's only 22 at the same time. But, last year when he got the call, he didn't hit for really a whole lot of power. In fact, he matched his career high in homers and exceeded his career total in RBI in just 1 week. So I don't know. He didn't walk or strike out, which is really weird. Heading into today, at least I didn't see what happened today with him. But I wasn't super aggro going into him. I mean, this is a guy that had a 663 OPS in AAA in the Pacific Coast League this year. So, but then again, he's 22. That's the thing sometimes with prospects. We start hearing about him earlier and earlier, younger and younger, and we're like, oh yeah, he's been around forever. He's 22. I mean, there's still plenty of room for him to develop. So I kind of have to check myself sometimes on that.
He was added in 35 leagues in the NFBC main event. The high bid was 233. The low was 37. Looking at kind of the bids here, it was kind of a 80 to 120 was kind of the range where you see a pretty significant amount of the wins. So pretty aggressive. I mean, the guy, obviously, a lot of teams are looking for power. A lot of teams are looking for RBI. He did that. But like you said, that week was pretty crazy. But the no strikeouts and no walks is really weird. But I was interested, but I wasn't in at that price.
Yeah. He played a game on March 31st. So he was eligible to be picked up before. And in my main event, someone picked him up last week, Eric Forsland. So kudos to him. He got him for 32 last week.
Did he play him, I hope?
I hope. I'm pretty sure he did. I don't hope, but he did leapfrog me in the standing, so probably did. Looking that up now, he was definitely in the lineup over the weekend. I don't know about earlier in the week.
Yeah, I figured it might have been people that over the first period, but I imagine everybody played him in the second period. But
yeah, pretty impressive though.
Pretty impressive. And the Giants are hitting a little bit. They're putting up some big numbers again. They're playing the Rockies this weekend, so that does help. You face those pitchers. It helps a lot. Joey Ortiz was another guy that was available. Second, third eligible. We talked about him a little bit last week. I added him in one main event last week, but he was still available in 25% of main events. He was available in 88% of the online championships. He went for 198 was the high bid, 52 was the low bid. He looks pretty exciting. There's some good numbers here, some good stats. He looks good. He's playing almost every day. The Brewers sent Oliver Dunn down to AAA, so kind of clearing the path for Ortiz to play more than maybe we thought he would, but a little bit of speed, a little bit of power. I like what I've seen from Ortiz so far, and I think that if you need a third baseman, you mentioned third baseman week, he fit the bill pretty nice this week if he was available.
Yep, that all of a sudden Burns was awesome again as usual, but at least the Brewers' return on that looks a little bit better than it did back in March. And the thing is, Ortiz was always a super slick fielder. People just thought that he wasn't going to grow into the power that much, but an OPS over 900, so far so good.
Yeah, so far so good for sure. Second, third eligibility is nice. We always talk about the fact you can cover corner and middle with that, so pretty nice there. Another middle infielder that's probably could be exciting is Miguel Vargas with the Dodgers. We were talking about him a lot last year. It looked like when they was going to start a bunch last year. I think he started with the team, and he got hurt in spring training, and then it kind of went down. He didn't do a lot last year when we got picked up. He hit 198 across 304 plate appearances, but has been hitting really well in AAA. 295, 8 homers and 8 steals, so a little speed and power combo. Back in 2022, he had 17-16 in AAA across 113 games. My question for you is, how do you feel about Vargas kind of as a prospect right now coming up? And what do you think the playing time looks like in LA? Because it seems like Dave Roberts said that he's sharing left field at the moment, but Chris Taylor has been truly horrendous. I'm not sure if Miguel Vargas can play outfield and left field, so you got that problem. But the infield's kind of the infield's spoken for at the moment. They don't seem to be moving off Gavin Lux at the moment. What do you think about Vargas in terms of skills and then playing time? Because the playing time was my biggest concern.
Yeah, he couldn't play second base, but that didn't stop the Dodgers last year either. So Although I guess there is a line there because Gavin Lux can't play shortstop, and so the Dodgers had it like, okay, that's where we draw the line.
Also, Gavin Lux can't hit.
Well, yeah, that's that too. Vargas didn't play today. He didn't play Friday. I don't trust the playing time yet.
I don't either. I'd really like it if he had the playing time too. I think he can hit for an average right away. I think the power might come a little bit, but I think he can hit for average right away. And you put him in that lineup and you fall into counting stats. But I'm like you. I'm really worried where the playing time kind of works itself out.
Yeah, I'm definitely concerned about that. So yeah, I'd like to see him succeed. Certainly, he's mastered AAA. I don't think we need to see that anymore.
Yep.
It's just I almost feel like this is a Michael Busch situation there, where he gets a change of scenery and gets to play on a regular basis.
They're gonna trade him for nothing to clear cap space. Is he gonna have really good in his next team?
A clear 40-man roster space, even.
Yeah, more than that. Sorry, no, I meant roster space. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I get what you're saying though too. Maybe he just needs that because they can't provide that playing time. Hey, we're trying to win right now. This isn't finishing school. This is helping us out right now. School.
Can we really not give up on Chris Taylor at this point?
No, we can. I have.
Can the Dodgers please give up on Chris Taylor at some point?
I don't think that's an either or situation. They gave up on James Outman, by the way.
I think they sent him down. That was it's a pretty big sent down. Like I think it was a chat early. Like who's the highest guy that could actually get sent down? And Outman was I just have to look at his draft pick. He was probably like a 10th, 12th round pick this year. Is that about right?
Was he that early? I guess. I was gonna say Holiday, but maybe not. Maybe it is that. Looking that up now to see where Outman was.
Outman was drafted in the 12th round of my main event.
Yeah, pick 190 is his average main event ADP.
Okay. So 12th, 13th round, yeah.
Was 226. So there you go. So at least among those two, it's.
I guess Jordan Walker was probably that answer though, right? He was probably a couple rounds before.
Oh Outman. Boy, yeah. I think I forgot about that. Jordan Walker was 141. That's going to be tough to beat.
I remember the chat was like Langford, Evan Carter, Jackson Churio, and I think Walker's been the guy so far that actually, not injured, not IL, but sent down just based on performance. He's the lowest ADP to date, and Outman second.
Yep. Yeah. Brian Hayes is like trying to enter the chat, but he got hurt instead.
I see. Does he still have options?
I don't know. Jose Abreu does, so we can borrow one of his.
Oh, Jose Abreu. What else did you do at offense? I felt like there was a lot of mildly interesting names, but are they going to be good? You got Mark Vientos in New York. I think the power's real, but the playing time's an issue. Mm-hmm. Jake Bauers is playing well in Milwaukee. I know we made fun of that a couple weeks ago for them giving him playing time over Tyler Black, but he's actually playing well. Dominic Canzone came back in Seattle. They've got kind of a playing time crunch there. Alec Burleson in St. Louis been playing really well. He's played in 16 of the last 20 games, 40% rostered in the main event. Jake Myers in Houston, Colt Keith in Detroit. There's like all these names. Paul DeYoung is playing well. What did you also do at offense? I felt like there was a huge glut of guys in here. I think you called the grab bag usually, but did you like any of these guys more than anybody else?
Okay, so in the main, and I think a common theme was picking up people's drops.
All right. That's one of my favorite pastimes.
So a guy that you and I were both on start of the season, a certain outfielder that was originally going to maybe even bat leadoff for his team has been horrible this year. No getting around it. The team has been better, but he has not, and that is MJ Melendez.
Oh, he got dropped in your main event, huh?
Yeah, I picked him up for 11. Second place was 7. In the same league, CES has been picked back up after being dropped. Jordan Beck had been dropped, is picked back up. Max Meyer was picked back up this week. Luke Raley was picked up back up this week. I actually got Raley in a couple of leagues myself. Jackson Holiday was picked up in my main event. Jared Kelnick was picked up after being dropped in my main event. This was a big week for this sort of thing. The boot and rally.
Yeah. I had a bid in on Holiday, but I got someone else. He was actually available mine. He didn't get picked up in my league, so he's still out there. I actually looked up his minor league stats since he went down. He's had a couple of homers, hitting pretty well. He had a homer with the Orioles GM in attendance. I think it was on Friday night or Saturday night. So making a good claim there. But I did have a bid on him just because I thought maybe he'd come back up. But I think they're going to leave him down there a little bit. I think that was so bad when he came. I think they want to get him fully fully set there.
The Ks. I mean, the Ks were just so
the Ks
bad.
were rough. And he's not a strikeout guy, so I think that he was pressing, but I think they're going to kind of let him get comfortable. But Melendez is interesting because the hard hit rate's still pretty good. The barrel rate's still pretty good. The strikeout rate is less than it was last year, but his BABIP is 223 right now, and that's just killing him. It was 311 last year, so he's hitting 182, 4 home runs, 2 steals. I feel like the playing time leash is getting short with Melendez. He needs to get hot pretty quick here.
Yeah, so we went Melendez over Jake Myers was another guy that we had a bit in on there. You know, he's getting all that Chas McCormick playing time.
I like that too, except McCormick's coming back probably this week.
Right. And that's the thing that why we prioritized it as we did. Burleson wasn't available. Kelnick was, like I alluded to. I looked up Kelnick and I'm like, eek.
I did too. He was available in one of my mains. I'm like, oh, Kelnick's there. I'm like, oh, skipping, moving on to the next one. I don't see it at the moment.
Yeah, I don't either.
Sits versus lefties, great lineup, but he's not really the reason that lineup's great.
Yeah, a couple other names that were picked up in my main I think are interesting. Nick Gonzalez had a couple key hits for the Pirates. You know, prospect pedigree there, was a first-round draft pick at one point in time, high first-round draft pick.
Playing every day too.
Yep. Dr. Do mentions in the chat, but Luke Raley, he was taken, you know, he was picked up in our main, and I picked him up in a couple other leagues where I needed first base eligible guys. Raley's hitting a little bit better now after a terrible start to the season. And David,
I like Raley as a streamer too, because he's got 3 righties this week in the first 4 games at Yankee Stadium, which is a good place to hit, obviously.
Yeah, and David Fry's having himself a nice little season and is
really
capture eligible. He got picked up in our league, and I already have Bo Naylor. Do you replace Bo Naylor with David Fry and just you get whipsawed on the timing of the market? I decided not to do it, but I can understand why people might do it, especially if they are lacking a good second catcher already.
I was looking at Fry too. I would not have done it for Bo Naylor, but there were some spots. I have Austin Wells. I kind of put him and Corey Lee kind of in the same bucket. 2 guys that are, hitting pretty well, kind of taking over, majority of the job on their team at catcher. So just getting more plate appearance, getting more time. Fry's interesting. Fry's almost eligible at outfield and first base also. So he's playing kind of all over the diamond a little bit, which you really love for a catcher.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's
not to use him somewhere else, but the fact that he's like getting at bats in real baseball somewhere else.
But you can, and that's the point.
Yeah. Your Reds have have a really good schedule coming up. They have last 3 weeks. I think they have 13 home games, and then 3 of their road games are at Coors. So we talked last week about Mike Ford. Great schedule next 3 weeks. He started in 10 straight games. He's going to play. It seems like he's playing against every righty. I think he's kind of an interesting one too. If you can kind of stream and play these guys, the Reds have a really good setup the next 3 weeks. I know that they're all hurt and all injured, but the guys that are playing, you're going to get some good park factors at least.
Ford had a couple of hits early after his call up, and it was like, oh yeah, why didn't we call him up sooner? Well, he's now hitting 156, 174, 267 with 1 walk and 11 strikeouts. So.
You're hoping to run into like a 3 home run week is what you're doing with Ford. And
he's doing Mike Ford things, basically.
He's doing Mike Ford things, exactly. Lastly, on your Reds, the guy they called up, Jacob, I don't want to say his last name. I'm going to let you say it. Any interest there?
I'm not going to say it.
Hertubisi?
Yeah. Easy for you to say. I have nothing to say about him. Sorry.
Yeah. He's 26. He's has shown no pop in the minors. I looked at him a little bit because he stole so many bases. He stole what, 45 bases last year. I wasn't sure if the playing time was a bit. He's not done much. I kind of got less interested as I looked deeper into it.
He went to West Point, so there you go. That's that's your fun fact.
Paul Sporer says it's hurt you boys, but I don't know if he's just. I assume he's just making.
We are hurting. Yes, that's true.
Yeah.
This is like as little as 3 years ago when the Reds were like calling up, who's that? Where is he from? That when they started the teardown of the team, and they kind of just had like a bunch of guys just to fill out the roster there.
Remember when we were worried about if the Reds were going to have too many bodies for to fit in the lineup?
Yeah, that's been fun. Yeah, and him and Connor Capel, both Capel, have been in the lineup a lot this week, and that just speaks volumes to where the state of the Reds right now.
Looks like correct pronunciation is Hertubis, so I guess that's better than I said. It's Hertubis. All right, good to know. If he steals 3 bases this week, I'll get it right. I promise. Let's talk about pitching, which was fairly meager and fab this week. But first, note from our sponsors at Prize Picks. Prize Picks is the best way to get action on sports in more than 30 states across the country. Prize Picks is really simple to play. I can make my picks, submit my entry in less than 60 seconds, pick more or less 2 or more player stats, and watch the winnings roll in. As we get the NBA playoffs, we got the third round start up here. You can play all those games if you want to play Anthony Edwards or Tyrese Halliburton or Jason Tatum or Luka Doncic or Kyrie Irving. Those are all the 4 teams are playing. You can play all those guys. You can play points, assists, rebounds, whatever you want to do. It's really fun. Really fun to watch those games and have a little extra interest in there. They have quick withdrawals, easy gameplay, an enormous selection of players and stat types that makes your Prize Picks the #1 daily fantasy sports app. Download the app today and use code ROTOPOD for your first deposit match up to $100. That's promo code ROTOPOD for a first deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's just that easy with Prize Picks. Jeff, starting pitching was rough this week. There were a couple of leagues where I've had a couple. I didn't really need anybody, but I had a couple drops where I wanted to add in guys. But man, it was tough. I guess the top name was Tylor Megill getting called up, or I guess coming back off the IL for the Mets. May get 2 starts this week. The first one's at Cleveland. Really depends how the Mets kind of work out the rest of the rotation this week. Adrian Houser's throwing Tuesday, Jose Quintana Wednesday, Christian Scott Friday. If they go Severino and Minaya, then Megill only starts once, and he goes twice next week, and the first one's against the Dodgers. So I wasn't sure if he's going to go twice or not this week, but it's a guy that has always been a little bit interesting, throws hard. I don't know what the Mets are doing. They sent Jose Budo down, who was pitching pretty well. I know he had a lot of walks, but he was not giving a lot of hits. The numbers were pretty decent. To start Adrian Houser and some of those guys, I was not sure. David Peterson's coming back too. I don't know what's going on with the Mets rotation, but do you have any interest in Tylor Megill coming up this week?
I added him, and yeah, there's some, because as you alluded to, especially in 15 teamers, it was just tough sledding out there.
It was hard to find anybody that I could even talk myself into.
Megill wasn't even available. Like like I was looking at like our list ahead of time, like taken, yuck, taken. Oh, yuck, but I'll still take a chance. Yeah. So this was a good week to kind of like bid low. It was just like, okay, as much as you may have needs, let's not overspend on those needs. If you get them, you get them. If not, well, just get a reliever or something. Like I picked Matt Waldron back up for $1. Okay. Pitched well against the Braves, but who isn't pitching well against the Braves right now? It's weird saying that, but it's true.
And he gets Miami this week, right?
Yeah. So why not? May have to, it's like that. Tim and I were like, okay, are we?
He's at Cincinnati this week. He's home against Miami the week after. Sorry.
Which it's weird because Waldron's actually been better in his worst matchups there. So I don't know if
we call that a Michael King.
Oh yes, we do. Yes, we do. Both Padres, not by the way. So maybe
Michael King just deals against the Dodgers and then gets smoked by Colorado. It was insane.
At home, by the way. That whole series for San Diego was insane. That way they got swept at home by the paste-eating Rockies. But yeah.
Someone in the chat mentioned Yankees for Waldron. I think it's going to be Cincy because I think with everybody getting pushed back, they play twice on Monday. So I think it'll be Cease and Randy Vasquez, then Musgrove, then King. Then I think Waldron Thursday against the Reds, and then Darvish probably Friday. Darvish looked really good today, by the way.
Yeah, he's looked good since coming back from the IL. He's looked really good on multiple starts. Yeah, you're right.
Set his career record for most scoreless innings in a row tonight. So it was he's pitching really well.
Yeah.
Some other names. What about Joe Ross? Joe Ross gets 2 starts this week at Miami, which is obviously really nice. At Boston, which on the surface doesn't look great. There was a stat hat tip to Rob DiPietro at the Pull Hitter podcast, Pull Hitter Patreon, who mentioned that Boston has not been very good against righties since Tristan Casas got hurt. So maybe one good matchup and one neutral matchup there for Ross. He is strikeouts are not up. His swinging strike rate's really good, 13.5%. The strikeouts are a little bit under 20%. So it hasn't really translated, but some of his metrics look pretty good. I think if you need a starter this week, Ross is someone that I'm okay throwing out there.
He was in our list of bids. We got outbid on him. I think we did at least. I'm trying to find confirmation of that, but he was in the waterfall.
If only there was a website that told you who your ads and drops were.
Yes, there was. And as a matter of fact, Ross was not picked up. We had Waldron ahead of Ross.
Okay.
We dropped.
Not picked up by anyone?
It said conditional, not needed. So
wow. All right.
In fact, we had 8 pitchers in our waterfall. We got 1. 5 were conditional, not needed. What does that tell you? And then the other one was we got outbid on Adam Ottavino, and then we got Waldron. Ross was not needed, and Ryan Weathers did get picked up by somebody. So that was it. But like Kyle Muller and not Kirk. Kyle, not Kirk Muller was another one. And I'm glad we didn't get the ones at the bottom part because like.
Yeah, and then you're like, do I have to throw these guys? Luckily, I did that with Alex Lang last week, and I didn't use him, so that helped because he did not do anything.
Bad. That Sunday outing saved your butt.
It really did. I lowered my bid big time on that Sunday outing, because he was looking like he was going to maybe be the closer. Foley was going to be out, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to lower that bid. The name that I thought was interesting, Patrick Sandoval with the Angels. I called him Pablo Sandoval on the sheet, so ignore that. I did not actually want to pick up Pablo. Patrick Sandoval. Fairly rostered in 15 teamers, but only 20% rostered in the 12 teamers. He's been pitching well. He's been really, he and Reed Detmers kind of switched bodies like about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Detmers was good. Sandoval was bad. Yeah. Sandoval's been really good. He's at last 5 starts, only get more than 3 runs once, had a 10 strikeout game in there. Last start was at Texas, 6 innings, 1 earned run, 5 strikeouts. If you need a guy, I think he's workable kind of as a streamer and a 12-teamer, and then a 15-teamer, if he's still available, I think he's kind of a stream and then hold and see if we got something here, because he was an interesting name in the past. I know last year was rougher for him, but he's a guy that was an under 3.7 ERA in 2021 and 2022. I think there's a baseline here for him to be pretty decent.
Yeah, it kind of ticks me off though. I'd given up on him. He killed us last year, and so okay. Griffin Canning killed us earlier in the year. Now he's been like Cy Young the last 2 weeks.
I dropped him 2 weeks ago and picked him back up this week, so that can tell you how I'm doing with Griffin Canning at the moment.
Yeah, so we're in the same boat. Okay.
Yeah. What about in Houston? Spencer Arighetti faces the A's this week. Did not pitch especially well today, if I'm remembering right. He faced I forget who the Astros beat this
Milwaukee,
week, but Milwaukee. I think
it's actually a good lineup, by the way.
Yeah, good lineup, but he got the win today, so there is that. But did get 4 runs in 6 1/3, but had 6 strikeouts. But the thing with Arighetti is he faces the A's this week, who is obviously a struggling team. Although the offense is okay, but 13% swing strike rate, 24% K rate. Like, he's someone that has some strikeout upside in a 1-start week against the A's, especially in Oakland in the Coliseum, where every foul ball is an out. All that helps. I think that Arighetti was actually a pretty good stream pickup this week too.
Yeah, I agree. I think that was fine.
Were you remotely even considering the possibility of possibly considering Kyle Quantrill with the Rockies? He of the 3.66 ERA, the 2 starts this week. First one is against Oakland.
At Oakland.
At Oakland, then he's home against Philly. I saw the at Oakland, and I saw a second start. I'm like, oh, maybe, and then I saw the home Philly in Coors Field, and I quickly canceled all the bets.
I actually thought about getting Gombered more than I thought about Quantrill. You got to verbalize them.
Yep. Gomber with 1 at Oakland. I think that works for a streamer too.
Yeah, because I don't want to have a home start. I know Gomber has had some good starts at home, but the second you rely on that's when you get Gomber.
I don't want to click on the Rockies Phillies box score next Sunday and have to worry about Cal Quantrill is what it comes down to.
No, I didn't even think about Quantrill, to be honest with you, and I kind of shied away from Feltner too. Thought about Kyle, not Kirk Muller. I thought about. I even looked at do I think about Estes or Brooks, and I said, okay, no. I thought about it, and then I moved on.
Yeah, I did the same. Any interest in Ryan Weathers? He's about 40% available in the main event. He has 2 starts this week. Home Milwaukee, at Arizona, and pitched well last week. 8-inning shutout at Detroit. It is Detroit, but 8-inning shutout. You have 3 runs, and 3 runs as 2 starts prior to that. Pitched 6 innings. He's thrown 20 innings the last 3 starts. So he's on a pretty good run here, at least.
Yeah, I kind of had my enthusiasm tempered both by the lineup. I mean by the matchup, and also the fact that he just doesn't strike out too many batters. Because I think you need to stream strikeouts as much as you need to stream wins. Yeah, that's just not coming. Because the wins are so unreliable anyhow. It's so difficult. Thank you, Cleveland, for stealing my Tanner Bybee win today.
Klose blew that save without a hit or a walk given up. There cannot be many blown saves out there, though. That's the case.
No, I know it's not super his fault, but
one of the errors was his fault. So I guess
it's his own error then. Yeah. Okay. So it is his fault. Screw him then. And Jupinka gets the win, and he's already beating us. I'm in the Jupinka league, so that was fun. Yeah,
Klose has been awesome, but yeah, I'm trying to think what he gave up. He went strikeout, line out, hit by pitch, fielder's choice where they didn't get an out, and then an error by Clase to score the run. That's brutal.
It is. It really is.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting at 22 wins, and I know, yes, you're
luxury class of 22 wins.
Yeah, well, only compared to you right now, but that doesn't mean I'm luxury.
It's so weird because I think I'm top of my league in strikeouts and last in wins. It's just it's been a strange win season for me so far. It's only, we're May 19th. I can catch up there, but it's a tough category to catch up into. You've got to really get hot and get like a bunch of 7-win weeks to really make any ground up.
Right. And then that leads you to taking all these sketchy 2-start starters. And
I'm already doing it.
Yeah.
I'm already like one guy. I'm kind of using one roster spot a week for trying to find a Tuesday. I'm not forcing it yet, but I'm looking if, a little more risky than I normally would be. And, the ratios are going to pay for that at some point. There's only so long you can dance through those raindrops.
Yeah, exactly.
What about closer this week? There isn't a lot of like obvious guys, but two situations, and we kind of referred to them earlier with Edwin Diaz and Alexis Diaz. You're the Reds fan. Diaz has been rough. It's keeping rough. Do you think they make a move here at any point? How do you think the Reds handle the situation? Is there a Fernando Cruz or Lucas Sims or Emilio Pagan closer running our future at all?
No, because Pagan got hurt today.
Okay,
I think he got hurt.
We'll cross him off then.
Yeah. That guy's dead. Cross him off then.
I'm glad you got that.
And then Cruz has struggled.
Yeah,
Cruz has really struggled lately.
He looks so good early, and every time I look at it now, he kind of not as much.
He's got this weird stat that he's so much better coming into middle of the inning than he is starting his own inning. It's usually the other way around from almost every reliever on the planet.
Is that a stretch or wind up kind of thing? Or I'm sure he's probably out of the stretch all the time, right?
I think it's a fun with small sample size thing.
Okay. But he's given up runs in 4 of his last 5 outings, and he's given up 5, 6, 7, like 9 runs his last 9 outings too. It's been rough after that really nasty start where he was striking guys out like crazy.
Exactly, and he walks too many batters, so it's just.
Do you think that granted the other guys haven't been good? Do you think they keep Diaz in that role? Do you think they kind of go by committee because Diaz's walk rate's up to 16%? It is really bad.
It's really bad. He's
not striking guys out either.
Yeah. Swinging
strike rate was 14.5% last year. It's 9.5% right now. There's definitely some problems there
because they're not swinging. Period.
Yeah,
it's
a problem.
Yeah, and then he puts a guy on, and then Ohtani hits the game winner off of him. Yeah. That was fun.
His fastball velocity is down another mile per hour after it was down a mile per hour last year. It's just it's rough.
When you hear like Reds broadcasters suggesting that Buck Farmer is a better alternative, then you've really hit rock bottom.
Buck Farmer, wow. What about the Mets? Did you have a preference between Reed Garrett, who's been really good, or Adam Ottavino, who's kind of the veteran with mild closing experience? What'd you do here? I think that from what I read, Garrett obviously is a really good pitcher, but it seems like maybe they just want to leave him in that role. I kind of leaned a little bit Ottavino, even though the higher bids run Reed Garrett, who I do admit is the better pitcher.
Garrett was already taken in my main, so we did throw a token bid on Ottavino, got outbid. I'm okay with that. I think it's a short term anyhow.
Ottavino's K- walk is like 27% this year.
I know he's good. He has these stretches where he's really, really good, but he's also better. This is anecdotal evidence, but I feel like he's better every time he's not asked to close. He's like a pea in the pod in the 8th inning.
He did have 12 saves last year. He had some decent
some late ones too that were really good. Yeah, he helped me out in a couple of leagues late.
He had that stretch from 2019 to 2021 where he's really up and down, walking a lot of guys. The whip was really high, but his whip the last 3 years, 0.97, then 1.22, then 0.93 this year. He's even found something the last 3 years. The strikeout rate is up. It's in 35% this year. It was down a little bit, but 30% in 2022. I think he's somebody you can throw out there. I'm throwing him this week where I picked him up for sure. And you hope for a save or two. You hope for some good innings, and who knows what happens with Diaz if there's. We don't know. We don't know what's going to happen with him. I think he's going to be, like I said earlier, I think he's going to be back fine. But, if they decide they may want to just chill him for a couple of weeks, I think Ottavino's the fill-in that I would take in the spot.
Yeah, for sure.
Anybody else FAAB-wise that you were remotely interested in? Because it was rough pitching out there. It was if you didn't have 9 guys in your 15 team or you're ready to use this week, it was really hard to supplement that roster.
Yeah, it was really dumb. It was a tough week for that. Yeah. It's a good week not to spend a lot of money.
Yep, I fell out. I don't think I got anybody for more than, I'm looking at my sheets, I don't think I've spent more than $16 on anyone.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Keep your powder dry for another week.
Yeah, for sure. A couple players I want to talk about real quick before we jump out of here. Alec Bohm in Philadelphia is having a really huge year. I know we talked last year about how he had all the RBIs and, can he keep it up? But he's at 42. He had 5 RBIs today. He's at 42 RBIs on the season. He's killing. He's hitting 330 too. Like he's hitting for average. Hard hit rate's up a little bit. Barrel rate's up a little bit. K rate's 15%. You love that because it just, the batting average just has the nice floor built in there. How do you feel about Bohm moving forward here? Is this kind of his level? Obviously, the batting average probably not there, but he's turned into a really good player.
He has. I think it's mostly legit.
Yeah, I do too.
He's not going to hit 329, but he's also probably going to hit for a little bit more power than he has. That's the funny thing is the average has really pushed up his earned auction value, but the fact is, he's going to get you the counting stats. He's moving into a better spot in the order. And at a perfect time when, they don't have Trey Turner, where Harper's been in and out and Schwarber's been in and out, but it's Bohm and Bryson Stott that have been amazing.
Bryson Stott's, I think we kind of thought that Bryson Stott last year was like, we'll see what he can do. Bryson Stott's been really good.
He's been better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's hitting, he's hitting 279, 5 home runs, 30 runs, 29 RBI. He's got 12 stolen bases already. His walk rate is doubled. He's at the almost 15% walk rate, kind of becoming a better hitter. He's never going to be a hard hit rate guy, never going to be a real barrel guy. He's up a little bit barrel rate, but I think, you could look at another year where he goes, say 15-35, and that's a ton of value where he was taken.
And it just shows that's the thing about the Phillies is it's those two guys, it's Ranger Suarez. It's not their stars that are carrying them. And there they are at 34 and 14. They already have a 5-game lead in the NL East. That's pretty crazy.
Do you know what Ranger Suarez's win-loss record is this year?
It's like 7-1, 7-0, something like that.
He's 8-0.
8-0. Yeah, I can't even. And
that's 8 wins.
8
wins. Are you kidding me? 8
is that something that might interest you?
Oh my gosh, that would solve all my problems.
Yes, it would.
All of my life problems right there would be solved by an 8-0 win guy right there. That'd be nice. I mean, the ratios are obviously insanely good too. I don't think we're going to expect those to fully keep up, but man, 8 wins banked by May 20th is just massive. It
is. And wins have such a disproportionate impact on your earned auction value too. I mean, there's a few of them that are like that. Suarez.
Are you looking at it? Is he the number one pitcher?
Oh yeah, by $7.
Wow. I figured he was, but I didn't know it was by $7.
Well, 137 ERA, 0.763 WHIP also to go with it there. Second is Tarek Skubal. Third is Seth Lugo. Fourth is Shota Imanaga. Who's now got a 0.84 ERA. Just crazy how good
he is. Just shows how crazy it is that Ranger Suarez and Seth Lugo are 2 of the top 3, and we're 7 weeks in. I know it's early, but that's a pretty good sample right there.
Yeah.
Last guy I want to ask you about someone that is also killing it. William Contreras in Milwaukee has clearly made his claim as the number 1 fantasy catcher this year. He's hitting 341 right now. That's after an 0-for-5 today too. He's been amazingly good. Hard hit rate 59%, barrel rate 11.3%, hitting, like I said, 341, 7 home runs, 37 RBI, 3 stolen bases. Contreras has been just absolutely awesome.
He sure has. The thing is, the top 2 catchers drafted were Rushman and then Contreras, and they're 2 of the top 3 earners right now. Salvador Perez is in between them, but
Salvador Perez seems like he drives in a run every single day.
It's amazing. He's hitting 333 going into today. I don't know what he did today, but I'm just looking at because we run the earned auction value overnight every night, so you don't get the day's games, but it's really funny that most of the top catchers have been worth it. Will Smith has been worth it.
Yep.
You'd like to see a few more homers, but my goodness, he's hitting 307. It's Real Muto has been a modest disappointment, but we kind of knew that there's a possibility he wouldn't run. But Contreras and Rushman and Salvi and Will Smith have all been great. Ryan Jeffers has been great.
Yep.
My only good pick in the NFBC main event so far, but
Ryan Jeffers has been really good. He's been huge for teams.
Yeah, he has. He's been really good. Sneaky good player is Connor Wong. Hitting 5th in the lineup for the Red Sox now. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah, it is. That's a good stretch. I'm trying to think of other guys. Cal Raleigh has 10 home runs. Langoliers had 10 home runs. I know the average of both those guys is low, but they've both been really good too in terms of just the power. I mean, even Jonah Heim has 27 RBIs. Like, there's been a lot of really good catchers, and then it falls off really badly after that.
Yeah, there's a couple sneaky ones in there too. Like Jose Trevino is actually having a good year.
He's did way better than Austin Wells. That's for darn sure so far.
Yeah. Sean
Murphy.
Did
you see his pickoff play today?
I did not. I heard it was pretty good though.
So Trevino, it was he's a guy on third. I forget who it was.
Oh wait, I did that. I was doing the show. That's why he faked the. Well, he did the appeal down the first base and then fired it at the third. That was amazing.
So as the runner on third was looking at the appeal to see if the guy was out or not, he threw it behind him and threw him out. It was pretty amazing. Yeah, it was. That was an awesome play. I love that. I love little stuff like that. I'm trying to think who it was on third. Was it? Oh, it was Zach Remillard. Is that his name?
Yeah, some
Zach, right?
White Sox jabroni. I mean, it's just what it is.
That's a long list right there.
Yes, it is.
It's funny. Last thing before we jump out of here, it's funny we talking about wins with Ranger Suarez. Reese Olson with Detroit, 2.09 ERA, 0.99 WHIP, 8 starts, 0 wins.
Yep.
That's hard.
Unlucky.
That is hard to do. And I wonder my wins are bad. Reese Olson's a guy I have a lot of places. I really like him. And like his last start was 8 innings, 6 strikeouts, no runs. He hasn't given up more than 2 runs in a start, except for the one bad one against Pittsburgh. His other 7 starts have been 2 run or 1 run. So I even give him 3, and he has 0 wins. Like, thanks, Detroit offense. Good on you right there.
Yeah. They've been worse than advertised. You can't even blame the weather entirely. Because, I mean, you look at Riley Green, and he's actually been okay, but Cork has been bad.
Parker Meadows was a disaster.
Yeah. Javi Baez is just one of the worst contracts ever there. But
he had a good week this week, though.
Yeah, he did good.
Every time I looked at free agents this week, he popped up because he hit like 390 with 7 RBIs. I'm like, nope, not falling for that bait.
Yep, not going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. Yep.
Beverly Hills Cop, I got that one. But I mean, you look at it's crazy. Like the Tigers have more runs than the Mariners. They have 193 runs. It hasn't been like that bad. It's just whenever Olsen pitches, they refuse to score any runs. It's so maddening.
It is really crazy.
Yeah. So cool. Anything else on your mind, Jeff? Anything else you want to talk about? Anything else you want to discuss before we jump out of here for the night?
Nope. I'm good to go, but excited for this week. Hey, one thing. Yes. Early games tomorrow.
Please tell me, because I hadn't looked at that yet.
Yes. So 12:20 Eastern time is the first game of that Padres.
Wait, 9:20 Pacific?
Because it's a doubleheader on it's makeup.
Jeff, 9:20 Pacific on a Monday morning. What are you doing over here?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'll try not to do it again.
Please don't.
But it's a wraparound series to begin with, and they chose to have the doubleheader on Monday. The getaway.
Because they had Sunday baseball night. They probably didn't want to mess with that, I guess.
Yeah, but it's still stupid.
You couldn't. I guess you could have started the game at like noon and then assume it's over, because if you start at 1, you don't want to run into much Sunday baseball.
But here's how evil this is, though. The second game doesn't start till 6:20. It's a split doubleheader on a getaway day on a wraparound.
How did the players agree to that?
Yeah, it's terrible.
So they have 12:20 and 6:20 Eastern. So they're going to finish that game at what? Yeah, like 9. That's bad.
And the Braves are going on the road after that.
Oh,
so it's not even like they're home the next day. They have to go to Chicago.
San Diego's going to Cincy. So our Reds might have a setup there.
Yeah, I mean, unless there was like rain in the forecast early today and Sunday, because they didn't have a day game in Atlanta. There's always rain in the forecast in Atlanta, by the way.
And with pitch clock and the ghost runner, like you pretty much guarantee there aren't any 4-hour games. You could have set that up so you don't have to worry about that.
So evil. To do the split double hitters just so we can maximize gate. I mean, everything is.
Yeah, they're making sure they don't want to lose that Friday. What was that Friday night? They got rained out. They didn't want to lose that Friday night.
Saturday. It was Saturday.
They didn't want to use the Saturday, which is probably a huge crowd in Atlanta. They probably didn't want to lose that. Now that everybody went.
Well, they do though.
And nobody's gonna come to the game on Monday morning.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just. It's just like the NFL adding insisting that we play games on Christmas Day because they get such great ratings, even though it's a Wednesday this year. It's so stupid. Anyways,
yeah, I got lots of thought about that one too. I'm not a fan of that either.
Well, I know it affects you directly because, well, not you directly, but your team directly in the Niners too.
They do not play on Christmas this year.
No, but they got like the lowest amount of rest days, and
they have the worst rest schedule of all time. It's awful. They have 4 teams off a bye. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. The NFL is just they're such a greedy organization right now. But anyways.
Michael, it is tangerine and vanilla candle again. Sorry, it's the same one as last week. I had not swapped them out, but I appreciate you asking what flavor my candle was. That is
nice.
awesome. I love it. Thanks everybody for listening to the
not code for anything.
This is not code for anything, I promise. Thanks everybody for listening to the RotoWire Fantasy Baseball Podcast. As always, we really appreciate everybody listening. If you could please rate and review the podcast, helps out a lot too. Thanks to Prize Picks for the sponsorship of the podcast. We appreciate that. If you want to follow Jeff on Twitter, Jeff_Erickson. I am at Scott Jenstad. We will be on there. If you have any questions about baseball, please ask away. Other than that, I hope everybody has a really good week, a good fantasy week, and hope start to move up those standings at that time of year. Time to make some runs and get yourself in position for the summer here. So hope everybody has enjoyed the podcast. Have a good one. We'll talk to you shortly.